Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien vs Predator Galaxy YouTube channel. This is Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks.
And this is Adam Zeller, aka RidgeTop.
And what we're talking about today, mate?
So we have a new bit of news, and this was, I guess, an interview with Deadline, right? Where I'm
No,
already getting this wrong.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if Deadline spoke to them after the fact, but it basically took place at the Television Critics Association panel that FX had at that
With
event.
the head of FX, John Landgraf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Deadline probably got a word with him after the fact or during it,
Gotcha.
something
Well,
like
it's
that.
still
It doesn't really
interview with him.
specify in the article, but they asked him a question and he clarified some bits and bobs.
Mainly having to do with the time frame that we can expect the Alien series to take place in.
So, I don't think it's fair to. I don't think it's unfair to say that ever since the series was announced, fans have been worried about when it was going to be set because the phrase "not too far future" or "near future" kept being used, and everybody was a bit like, you know, I don't want an alien story set 20, 30 years into the future. That's going to be a bit weird, and that is entirely fair. I agreed, and I was banking on it being a bit towards the end of the.
I never thought it was going to be near future, as in the next couple decades. I always assumed when he meant near future, he meant the latter part of this century.
Which is what, of course, has been clarified here. So, Deadline actually asked Landgraf if Ellen Ripley would be in the show, and this is because he'd originally said something about there being big surprises in the series, and Landgraf poo-pooed that and said Alien takes place before Ripley. It's the first story that takes place in the Alien franchise on Earth. So it takes place on our planet right near the end of this century we're in. So 70 odd years from now. Ripley won't be a part of it or any of the other characters of Alien other than the Alien itself. So as I said in the article here, 70-ish years puts it in the 2090s basically. So obviously we don't know the exact date. We can't juggle that around yet. But that puts it closer to Prometheus than Alien or...
Prometheus was 2093?
Something like that, yeah. With Covenant being, I think, 10 years after it, I think. No, 20 years after? 15? I can't remember. But yeah, it was 10 years. I'm sure it was 10 years. So it puts it closer to the prequels than to the original series. The original Alien, which was the 2120s, I think. So, how do you feel about that?
I'm honestly fine with it. I mean, at this point, if we're going by some of the Prometheus viral marketing, if you remember the
timeline,
Explore New Worlds, was it, where you like fly the little ship through the website?
through the
and it
browser.
Showed there had, at this point in time before the Prometheus mission, there had already been quite a few colonized planets. So this is still gonna feel like future Aliens, I think, at least in that regard, unless they're going more the Prometheus, advanced aesthetic. But we'll have to see how they ultimately, like, it's so interesting to see what an Earth in that time period could look like. I mean, we have that deleted scene from Alien Covenant, right, that has Daniels and her husband in the apartment, and we get a glimpse of the city in the background. And I guess the prequel novel kind of confirmed that that was supposed to be Earth, right? The Covenant did depart.
It was Earth, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I've heard some concerns as well in terms of what kind of a conflict this is going to create with it being pre-Alien. I think whatever happens in the series, we can expect it to be more contained or perhaps covered up by whatever nefarious companies are involved. But I think like they can do it. I know people really don't like the Earth setting, but it's never been an issue for me. It's all about how it's done, and it's been done poorly and it's been done well. So,
okay, you're not more excited about the implications of the David?
Oh yeah.
Alien
So
angle.
okay. If you notice a part of the quote from Landgraf, he says Ripley won't be a part of it or any of the other characters of Alien other than the alien itself. So I guess we do have an official mention of the titular xenomorph here. So people are, can relax about that because
Yes, there are aliens.
there are aliens in the Alien show. But yeah, with this being pre-Covenant, we'll have to see how Scott thinks about that with it being involved, with him being involved. But I mean, you know me, I'm all for that. So
I know. You see,
and I know you are too. So
see, that was the thing that I was most pleased about with this news. Like, I accept that Scott intended that David makes the aliens, but I hate the angle. But I like the thematics in Covenant around it. So it's always been one of those, the seesaw. No, what do you guys call them? Teeter-totters of opinions when it comes to that. But at the minute, I'm leaning more towards I hate this angle. So the idea that this would contradict it or, provide another out, well, it'd be a very obvious out because if it exists before David, then it exists before David. So I'm really looking forward to that angle. I am a little surprised to see the negativity around the setting. I will be honest, because I thought a lot of people were going to be in the same sort of boat that me and you are in terms of, yes, screw David. Even though I like it.
I think it's less about that. I think a number of people wouldn't mind the Covenant retcon, and I think it's more the setting on Earth being pre-alien and how that affects the narrative in terms of how constrained they are, in terms of it feeling like this is a more significant first encounter with the alien before Ripley's initial one. So I can understand those concerns. I just don't necessarily share them.
So. I mean, it's like you said, isn't it? This is probably going to be a contained story. And I think in all fairness, most of them could probably be classified as contained stories. Even the films, I suppose to some extent, the second one, not so much because of the fallout of the colony. But the fallout with the colony being destroyed. But I don't know. It doesn't worry me as much because I know that it's going to be contained. I expect that going into it. I think the only way it wasn't going to be, well, no, even setting it between Alien 3 and Resurrection, we know there can't be some massive outbreak and have an Earth war type thing because of Resurrection. So, yeah, I never expected any huge infestation somewhere or huge after fallout of whatever goes on. Just as long as the containing is done nicely.
Yeah.
It's executed well.
The question is, how contained will it be, right? On a scale from middle of Antarctica in AVP to Earth War, like what level of outbreak? We assume there's going to be an outbreak of some kind. Are we talking about here? Is this a facility? Is this an island? Is this a city? So it posed some interesting questions, not only in terms of, well, what can we expect in terms of the aliens' presence on Earth here, but in terms of the resolution of that. Like, is there going to be a cover-up involved? And will this tie into the company knowing of the alien previously?
Or potentially knowing. Yeah. So that's actually an interesting point. I wonder if he would tie it into them knowing about the signal in Alien. Somehow.
Maybe.
But now, and I always say, the things with, cover-ups and companies not knowing about other things companies are doing, you can't really appreciate how realistic it is that one part of a company would have no idea about the other part of a company until you actually work in one of these big things. Communication is genuinely that awful.
I mean, once companies get to that scale, they're just kind of like this enormous living entity, and one side doesn't know what the other side's doing. So,
did I ever tell you about the drone story? I can't remember.
No.
So my little area of my company decided we were gonna start flying drones and testing defenses with another company. So I get sent off to do the professional courses and learn everything, and we're gearing up to do it. And then an entire part of our company dedicated to drones finds out what we're doing and approaches us and like, why the fuck are you not talking to us?
This is our job.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I am fully aware of how realistic the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing is in these kind of things. And that's going to happen in Weyland-Yutani. I fully believe that any cover up is going to be, yeah. And again, we've seen it in the lore as well. They'll just bomb a town. That's it. I mean, sure, it wasn't Wayland and it was the government, but yeah, we'll just bomb a town. So
What was that one from?
That was your favorite movie.
Oh, AVPR, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about implications. You know, Ripley perhaps not being aware that there's other aliens and stuff. And I saw some people throw up Prometheus as an example, and I think that's less about. Well, no, because it's excitement over finding an ancient civilization. So I suppose Prometheus does imply that they haven't met sophisticated alien civilizations by those. But then again, if it's taking place around about the same time, Peter's off doing his own thing, and other parts of the company come across the alien, then yeah, again, left hand and right hand. So this is all quite realistic to me. I'm just happy that it's not 20 years into the future, but we're talking in an established part of the alien timeline. You know, we're talking Prometheus and Covenant part of the timeline, so it doesn't feel wild and outlandish to me.
It'll be interesting to see if there's much mention of the events of Prometheus and Covenant, because I mean, Covenant being, well, this will be pre-Covenant. This will be closer to Prometheus if we're going by. And granted, this is still very much in development. I'm sure this could change, and it's not exact, you know.
And it's not like we were given an exact date either. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if that date was bouncing all around in development. And also, there's some interesting comments towards the bottom of Deadline's article. So Landgraf compared it to Hawley's work. Landgraf compared Hawley's work to
Fargo,
Coen Brothers film, or how Aliens relates to the original Alien. So do you want to read that one out?
Yeah. So quote from Landgraf: Noah has this incredible ability, and I think you've seen it with Fargo, to both find a way of being faithful, showing fidelity to an original creation like a Coen Brothers movie, or in this case, Ridley Scott's and James Cameron's follow-up, Aliens, but also to bring something new to the table that represents extension and reinvention of a franchise at the same time. I never liked that word, reinvention. But if it's a reinvention from Prometheus and Covenant, then sure, but...
And interestingly here as well, 5 scripts have been done. So 5 episodes have been completed. Did you not see that part?
5.
Then that's
what scripts. I mean, that could mean multiple drafts of this.
Well, I'd like to think they wouldn't count that in there. I mean, we don't really care about that when it comes to TV shows. So I would assume that as 5 episodes are done.
Yeah, I mean, that's more likely, I think. And we also have kind of a reason here for the filming delay, I guess. I suppose there's another season of Fargo coming here that Hawley's working on, and given its Midwest setting, and usually kind of a snowy setting with Fargo, I think, they are shooting that this winter, I would assume, right?
It doesn't specify that much.
Yeah, but... it just says Fargo needs to take precedence given its Midwest setting, and I assume that means shooting in winter.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we knew about some of the delays recently with them being pushed back to filming, apparently being pushed back to September time. Apparently, this is because production on Fargo needs to be more important. Fair enough if it involves hitting that certain.
Or maybe they're trying to avoid the snow. If they're shooting Fargo in the summer, something. I don't know.
But something to do with Fargo and the setting and, you know, the location has meant that needed to be more important than Alien. So that's interesting to note, actually.
Yeah, but with the Prometheus mission as well, like if they're going to mention Wayland at all, or if this is just going to be totally divorced from the prequels and just try and be completely its own thing.
I wonder how divorced it's going to be in the entire setup, especially with Scott being involved as such.
Yeah. I also wonder about the, if it is set on Earth, how much of Earth we're going to see and how much we're going to see of the political power structures on Earth. Because I know we have this new canon, I guess, with the RPG and some of the newer books. And
I can't imagine that's going to
Honest,
factor
yeah,
into
I
it
don't
at
think
all.
Holly's even aware
Nah.
or probably cares of that.
It'll
So
be the same as always, where the EU has to scramble to work around whatever the new on-screen stuff does, which is not new, and it doesn't worry me. I'm sure we'll survive. We always do.
yeah, we always do. We've been through the worst of it already.
Oh well. Anyway, I think that's about everything to say on this. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, we're still most likely going to see this sometime in 2023, probably the latter part of 2023. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
especially if they shoot in September time. So we're probably going to get what, around about 2 months shooting, then post. So yeah, I'd probably expect mid 2023.
Yeah.
Right. Well, how is everybody else feeling about this news? Are you relieved? Are you pissed off? Let us know down in the comment section below, and surprise us or support us with your own thoughts on that. As always, please make sure you are checking out avpgalaxy.net for the news. Obviously, we've already posted it there, and we're doing our motion tracker after the fact just to have a natter about it. All our socials are on the screen below. So if you are not one of those people that's sworn off social media yet, we are there for your entertainment needs on those platforms. This has been Corporal Hicks.
And RidgeTop.
Signing off.